Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. I apologize to those who are trying to get online with Patreon. I accidentally pushed the wrong button, so we're not getting a live cast on Patreon today, but you can go to our YouTube channel, our Insight Timer, our YouTube and all that. I'll post the video on Patreon so you could watch it later. In any case, welcome to our Saturday morning practice. We'll be spending the next hour and a half together. We do this every weekend, every Saturday, and but we alternate practice. So today we are going to be doing breathing exercise. So the North Indians, the yogis, they call it pranayama. Prana is one half of the breathing exercise. The other half is anaprana. So together it means breathing with the lower stomach, right? So this is how the Indian practice their breathing. Yama just means the practice of breathing. In Chinese, we call that tu na. Tu means to breathe out, na means to breathe in. And that actually is a longevity exercise that exists almost 2,000 years ago. And there's a saying that goes, when you breathe out the old. When you breathe in the fresh. So it really talks about how important it is to use the lower stomach to breathe, using the diaphragm, so that when you breathe in, you increase the lung capacity, getting as much oxygen as you can. And then when you breathe out, you use the diaphragm to push out all the stale air, especially in the bottom part of your lung, right? By the way, this is how we breathe. This is how we breathe when we were first born. And this is how the animals breathe. And this is most likely how we breathe when we're sleeping, when we're relaxed. It's just that during the day in the modern world, we get so tied up, so tight that this diaphragm is not moving well, and instead you're using the upper part of your body to breathe, which causes a lot of stress, and stress causes a lot of illness. Okay, all right. So before we do the breathing exercise, we're going to be doing some joint exercise. So there are 6 joints, 3 of them in the upper body, and then 3 of them in the lower part of the body: the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. So the purpose of doing joint exercises is manifold. One is that we all have inflammation in the body, and so doing the joint exercise reduce inflammation. That's one. The other one is that when you talk beyond just localized inflammation, then we talk about life energy. And so these joints are actually the bottleneck of our life energy. And then ultimately, when we do the exercise on the floor, it's a lot like Tai Chi. And in Tai Chi, you actually have to use all 6 joints. All right, so let's get started. And before we do anything, I want you to come back to this body. I want you to focus on this body, feel your body, and now anchor your mind on the lower part of your spine. I want you to walk up the spine, one joint at a time. As you walk towards the top of the head, I want you to stretch the spine. Stretch it as hard as you can, as if you're hanging the spine on the ceiling. Now I want you to lean back. As you lean back, you're putting the weight of your upper body on your spine and not using your back muscle. Then I want you to relax. Then I want you to focus on your shoulder. I want you to lift up the shoulder, bring it as high as you can, as if you're bringing your entire body towards the ceiling again. And your shoulder is as high as your ears. Now I want you to open the shoulder. Open that as far back as you can, and then relax the shoulder. Relax the upper torso. Now I want you to focus on your forehead. Lean back the forehead, putting the weight of the head on top of the spine, putting your ears on top of the shoulder. Now I want you to tuck in the chin slightly so that the top of the head is on top of your spine. Now in the ancient Chinese longevity practice, they call this one pillar supporting the sky. You're now the conduit between the energy in the heaven and the energy in the earth. You're now the center of the universe. Now I want you to feel your joints, starting with the wrists, then feel the joints going from your wrist to the elbow, and then going from the elbow to the shoulder. We're going to start with the wrists first. So now I want you to focus on the center of your palm. I want you to bring up your hand, mind, body together. Bring it up slowly all the way up to shoulder level. Sit up straight. Now I want you to focus on the wrists, and then I want you to turn your wrists very slowly, very mindfully, understanding that each turn is independent of another. Each turn has a beginning and an end, and the end becomes the beginning again. So as you turn your wrists, I want you to identify the beginning, and I want you to develop this habit of checking your mind. See if your mind is actually on your wrist. If your mind is not on your wrist, it's somewhere else. It's in these two dark corners. One is called the past, one is called the future. I want you to bring your mind back. And once you bring your mind back, going from the beginning to the end, I want you to focus on your wrist, observing the change in your wrist, see if there's any heat, any sweat, any numbness, any pain, one turn at a time. And then now we're going to go the other way. And when you get to the end, going from the beginning to the end, when you get to the end, I want you to say to yourself, I just finished one turn. I can do another one. Let me do another one turn at a time. Now I want you to lower your hand, focus on your center of your palm first, and then lower your hand very gently, very mindfully. And once again, I want you to come back to the body, focus on the shoulder, bring up your entire upper torso. Now I want you to lean back, and as you lean back, I want you to open the shoulder as far back as you can. Then I want you to relax the shoulder, relax the upper torso. We're going from the wrist to the elbow. So once again, I want you to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. I want you to bring up your hand mindfully, mind, body together, all the way up to shoulder level. Now I want you to turn your elbow. Again, I want you to turn it one turn at a time from the beginning to the end. I want you to focus entirely on your elbow. Observe the change in your elbow, one turn at a time. Your mind doesn't want to do this. Your mind is a monkey, what we call a monkey mind. The mind wants to be somewhere else. It's used to be somewhere else. It likes it. It's either in the past or in the future. But I want you to bring it back. And when you bring it back, I want you to commit from the beginning to the end. And when you get to the end, I want you to recommit for just one more turn, one turn at a time. Now I want you to turn it the other way. Again, focusing on your elbow, one turn at a time. Now I want you to lower your hand, but focus on the center of your palm first, and then bring your hand down the same way you brought it up. Now I want you to focus on your shoulder, bring up your shoulder, lean back, open your shoulder, relax your shoulder, relax your upper torso. Now we're going from the wrist to the elbow and then to the shoulder. I want you to focus on your hand again, and I want you to bring up both hands, but this time crossing your hand. Bring it in front of you very slowly, very mindfully. And I want to bring it on top of the head. And when you get to the top of the head, I want you to point the fingers towards the ceiling. I want you to stretch as hard as you can. And before you come down, I want you to focus on the center of your palm. Turn your hands outward, pointing the palms outward. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. Come back to the center of your palm. Bring it up in front of you, on top of you, and then stretch as hard as you can. And then open your shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. Come back to the center of your palm. Bring it up. On top. Stretch. Bring it back down, pointing the center of your palm outward. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of that pain. We're going to do this 2 more times. Bring it up in front of you, on top of you, and then stretch as hard as you can. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. We're going to do this 1 more time. Bring it up in front of you, on top of you. Stretch as hard as you can. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of your palm. Now we're going to turn the other way. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Always follow the center of your palm. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. One more time. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we're going to go from front to back. And I want you to open the shoulder. Relax. And focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up. Now we know the pain is coming. So we're going to confront that pain. We're going to confront the pain. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. The pain only lasted a fraction of a second, but the memory of the pain can linger. So what I want you to do is to linger on your pain. When you linger on your pain, it becomes suffering. So it's very important that we practice this. Get used to this. Whenever there's unpleasantness, whether it's physical or emotional, I want you to remember this. Accept it, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Always confront it. Confront your pain, feel your pain. Pain is gone. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. 2 more times. All right? If pain is coming, let's confront it, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. 1 more time. Always going up. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Sit up straight. Hands in the back. Bring it up. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way to the back. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way to the back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. All the way to the back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. 1 more time. All the way to the back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we've been doing meditation. Right? Even though we were exercising, we were doing meditation. I call it mindfulness in motion. When you're meditating while you're moving, whether you're walking or you're exercising or you're working in the kitchen or you're working in your backyard, whenever you're moving, I want you to remember this. Be mindful of your body. Anchor your mind on your body. You can anchor it on the bottom of your feet when you walk. You can anchor it on your fingers when you do your dishes. But always anchor your mind on your body. When you're not moving, whether you're sitting, standing, or lying down, then you are mindful of your breath. You anchor your mind on your breath. But before we anchor, we start with knowing. I want you to observe your breathing and then say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. 1 breath at a time. So when we're exercising, each turn has a beginning and an end. And when we're observing our breathing, it also has a beginning and an end. The beginning is when you breathe in. The end is when you breathe out. It is very important to understand that. Because when you breathe in, you're taking in oxygen. That is the beginning of life. Right? You can go weeks without eating. You can go days without drinking water, but you can't go more than a few minutes without breathing. Breathing is life. When you were first born, you breathe in. And then in the end, it's the last breath you take is to breathe out. So breathing in and breathing out is in fact the cycle of life. So it's very important that we understand that. And it's very important that as we breathe in, we recognize that that is the beginning of a cycle. And as we breathe out, that is the end of the cycle. But the end doesn't mean the end. The end just means a new beginning. And the next breath you take, it is beginning again. And then being mindful of your breath means that you're making commitment to stay focused on your breath from the beginning all the way to the end. And then when you get to the end, you said to yourself, that was 1 breath. I'm going to recommit to the next breath. And all this time, what you're trying to avoid is to avoid falling into the past or falling into the future, right? That doesn't mean that we don't learn from the past. We learn from the past. But once you learn it, it has no value to you. And just let it go. Let go of the past. The future has a tremendous value, but there's no whole lot you can do until you get there because everything changes. And so you might as well just focus on the present. Focusing on the past, focusing on the future, that's where anxiety comes in, right? That's where anxiety comes in. And anxiety is a seed for everything else. So we don't want that. We just want to stay with the present. And when you stay with the present, the whole world opens. All of a sudden, you understand the taste of the food, the sound of the birds, the love for your family. You're able to put aside all your emotions, especially the bad ones, and you become more empathetic, right? That's what it means. That's what it means, right? The best place to practice all that is, in fact, in prison. In prison, when you volunteer in prison. So I talk about Venerable Bodhidhama, his work. By the way, he's coming back next Tuesday, so be sure to tune in for that. And Tuesday, 6 o'clock my time. You can watch it live and you can watch it recorded. So he spends his life working in the prison, helping with the incarcerated, all for the purpose of helping himself. Of helping himself, right? He's that individual where he lived through a lot. He was abused by his father since he was born, for some reason. We don't know why. And he had a lot of trauma in him, and he had to deal with that. And the way to deal with that is to put aside all your bad emotion. And the only way to do that is to be mindful of the present. Is to be mindful of the present, right? You can't stuck in the past. You can't, right? So his way of doing it is actually helping the incarcerated because he himself is incarcerated, not necessarily by physicality, but he was incarcerated by all his trauma, right? I find I worked in the prison in the past before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, I'm now totally involved online. Except a couple months ago, I started working with the previously incarcerated in Oakland, California. And I'm hoping that one day the work will go back to the prison. And so that will come. That will come. All right. So again, understand the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is real, right? But when the pain leaves you, it just becomes a memory of pain. And if you don't know how to anchor your mind on the present, then you become a prisoner of your own memory. And that pain will keep coming back, right? But it's just the memory of the pain. It's not the real pain. The real pain is gone. The person who hurt you is no longer here. But you could remember for decades. That's not right. Okay? All right. So let's continue and just maintain that practice. This is actually one of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The foundation of mindfulness has to do with the existence of the body, has to do with the sensation of the body, and then it goes beyond the body to the mind, and then also to what we call Dhamma. But that's beyond us. What we can do is we can focus on the body because that's the only thing we have. So we focus on the existence of our body, which is in the breath, I mentioned that, or the sensation of our body. And we learn how to let go of that. All right. So let's do one more exercise. We have 3 more to come. This first one is continuation of our mindfulness of the bodily sensation. So again, let's stretch up the torso, bring up our shoulder, lean back, open our shoulder, and then relax. Now, the only thing that we do differently is we're separating the left hand from the right hand, meaning that we're separating the left brain from the right brain. One side of a brain is more logical and the other side is more emotional. And the only way, the best way to learn to let go of the pain is to understand whether the pain is emotional or logical. And the best way to deal with it is to the opposite. All right? And in other words, if it's emotional pain, you can just think of it logically. If it's logical pain, you can think of it emotionally. It's just how our body works. And I want you to focus on the right side, focus on the center of your right hand, which means that we're using the left brain. If I remember right, the left side is the logical side. Someone can correct me. Now, I want you to focus on the center of your palm on the right hand, bring it in front of you, making a big, nice circle. And then now, you know the pain is coming as you bring back the hand. Let's confront that pain, feel the pain, accept that pain, and then let go of the pain. Switching from the left brain to the right brain, focusing on the left hand. Bring it in front of you. Feel the pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain. Right side, feel the pain, accept that pain, and then let go of the pain. Sit up straight, left side, feel the pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain. Right side, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Left side, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Let's do 2 more times. Right side, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Left side, last time. Feel the pain, accept that pain, and then let go of the pain. All right? So now we're coming back to the stationary form. We're coming back to sitting. We're coming back to the breath. And again, we start with knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Okay, now the next 2 exercises get us ready for the sitting meditation. And again, when we sit, we're mindful of our breath, right? When we sit, then we practice the other foundation, which is called the foundation of the body. And more precisely, is the foundation of the existence of the body, meaning the breath. And before we do that, we need to do 2 more exercises to prevent us from falling into either what we call the lazy Zen. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just meant that most people who meditate, they're actually sleeping, right? When the bell rings, they wake up. That was a good meditation, but that's not really what meditation is about. So we don't want to fall into sleep unless you have to. And the way to prevent that is to do some energetic exercise before you sit. All right, that's why we always start with exercise. And if you have a habit of meditating as the first thing you do after you get out of bed, don't meditate right away. Stand 5 minutes and then meditate 5 minutes. Stand 10 minutes and then meditate for 10 minutes, like that. Okay, stand equal amount of time, because when we stand, that's the fire element. We let the energy rise in us all the way to the top of the head, prevent us from falling to sleep, prevent us to go into what we call the lazy Zen. The other extreme that happens is what we call the monkey Zen, where your mind just wanders all over the place. And that's not what we want either. And so the next 2 exercises, one is energetic and one is restorative, precisely to activate our parasympathetic nerve. So let's do this energetic first. So again, focus on the shoulder, lift up our shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, and then relax. Relax one more time. Now I want you to focus on the right hand. Bring up your hand, focus on the center of your palm, make a soft fist, and then I want you to follow that fist. Get it ready? Up. Feel the vibration in your body. Always mindful of your body when you move. Up. Come back, sit up straight. Down, down, up, up, down, down. One more time. Up, up, sit up straight. Down, down. Now both hands 1. Come back, feel the vibration. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now come back to your breath, and you notice that when you do energetic exercise, your breath is very rushed, very irregular, because you were in fight or flight. Even though you think that you're exercising, your body thinks that you're being chased by a wild animal. It doesn't know the difference. And so it's very important that after you do energetic exercise, you come back, you slow down your breathing. You slow down your breathing very simply by just saying to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay? And so what that does is that it brings you back into rest and digest. It's as if you were outside the cave, you were either running away from the animal, or you're being chased by, you're chasing animal, or you're being chased by the animal, and your body is full of adrenaline, full of cortisol, full of all these stress hormones, right? And you need to come back to the cave, come back to the safety of the cave. And the purpose of that is actually to restore the sensitivity to the stress hormone, right? I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting how Western medical science works. Western medical science works the same way that Westerner works, which is that it always have to be an opponent. There has to be evil. You have to be able to point to someone and says, if you're not with me, you're against me. We never talk about harmony. We never talk about how coexistence is important. Right? That's the difference in Eastern and Western approach. I'm half and half. Right? I'm obviously looks like Eastern person, but I'm educated here. So I understand both sides. Both sides has his place. But what am I talking about? Well, I see how Western science discover things. And right now, they talk a lot about how our modern illness, what I call lifestyle illness, is tied to our autonomous nervous system. And they use words like autonomous disorder, meaning that they understand now that for the last 100 years, maybe 60, 70 years, for as long as I've been around, we're living under the lamp, the light, and not under the sun, right? Because electrification, we are now able to change our lifestyle so that we don't live according to the sun, but rather we live according to the switch, right? And we think that that is the way, except that we have outpaced our own evolution. Our body doesn't know how to do that, how to live like that. It likes to live under the sun. And when the sun is up, it's like you're outside the cave, you're fight or flight. But at night, there's no more light, then you're back in the safety of the cave. That's rest and digest. And your body needs that. When it's a fight or flight, it's actually there to heal itself, right? And when you come back to the cave, that's when you restore your self-healing power. I'm convinced that we're capable of healing ourselves. I'm capable that we don't need to put too much chemical in our body. The body is capable of healing. And all I have to do is give it a chance, right? So it's not about this or that. It's not about sympathetic is good, parasympathetic is not good, or vice versa. It's really about the harmony. It's not about having too much cortisol in your body. It's about not being sensitive to your own cortisol. Cortisol is a steroid. Steroid is there to prevent inflammation. It's a good stuff. It's a good chemical. But too much of it is a problem. So here we always talk about the harmony between energetic and restorative. And so we just finished an energetic exercise. The first thing I ask you to do is come back to the breath, focus on your breath, slow down your breathing, let yourself be sensitive to the steroid again. All right. And then now we're going to do the second exercise, which turns on our parasympathetic nerve system of rest and digest, particularly what's called the vagus nerve, which starts at the back of the ear, comes down, and then it just scatters around into our body. And one of the things that helps is the diaphragm. It actually is the front diaphragm actually connects to everything, right? We often forget that our most important organ, the very first organ, is the membrane, right? When the egg chooses its mate, it has so many sperms to choose from. She does it with the membrane. And then the membrane becomes one, and it becomes two. It is all by the membrane. And the diaphragm is a membrane, and it connects everything. All right. So we're going to do this next exercise. And so let's focus on the body again. Let's focus on the shoulder. Let's bring up our shoulder. Let's try to bring it up as high as we can. And then we're going to lean back. We're going to open that shoulder. And then we're going to relax. Now we're going to take our hands. We put a thumb in front of a shoulder. We'll roll up the four fingers. And now we're going to focus on the elbow. As we bring up our elbow, our entire upper torso is stretched towards the ceiling. Then we're going to point the elbow back. As we point the elbow back, we open the shoulder as if we're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then we're going to lower our elbow, completely relax. And then we're going to point the elbows forward, looking down. From here, we're going to move up, pointing the elbow up. Now we're looking in front of us. And then as we open our shoulder, we're looking slightly above. And then as we lower our elbow, we're looking down, all the way down until we point the elbow forward. And then from here, we're going to very gently take an in-breath all the way until we open the shoulder. And then as we come down, we're going to take an out-breath. We close our eyes. We close our mouth. We breathe only with our nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. All the way out. All the way out. And then keep asking yourself to relax. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, asking yourself to relax is actually very simple. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Just anchor your mind on your elbow. Bring it up. Bring it back. Bring it down. Bring it forward. Breathing in. All the way in. Breathing out. All the way out. Let's do 2 more times. Breathing in. And then breathing out. 1 more time. Breathing in. And then breathing out. Okay. Now lower your hand. We're going to start meditating. And this time we're going to meditate on the breath. We're going to meditate while we're sitting, even though we spent the last 35 minutes meditating. This is the first chance to meditate while we sit. We can meditate while we walk. We can meditate while we sit. We can meditate while we stand. And we can even meditate while we lie down. In fact, it's very important that you think of your sleep as a meditation. And you lie down, you're meditating on your breath as you go to sleep. Okay? Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Just think about the present. Enjoy your sleep. Enjoy your sleep. Okay? All right. So now, before we do anything, we're going to come back to our body. We're going to learn how to sit properly. And just today, I'm going to focus a little bit on the back. Okay? Now, first, I want you to separate the body into 7 parts. The first one are the legs. So we talk about sitting like a bell. We sit like the bell, we stand like the pine tree, we walk like the wind, we lie down like the bow, like in bow and arrow. When we sit like the bell, the legs are the pedestal. Now you don't have to sit like I do, you can sit on the chair. Most of my other students sit on the chair. And when you sit on the chair, you need to make sure that the chair is of the right height so that the bottom of the feet is touching the floor. And it's touching the floor in such a way that the bottom of your feet is right below your knee. So it's not too high that you're dangling your feet. It's not too low that you're forced to either put your feet in front or behind your knee. Okay, just the right height, and relax. The second part of your hands, I don't ask you to do any hand gesture, just relax your hands. Put it on your knee, on your thigh, on your calf, wherever, just rest your hand. Don't use any muscle. Don't use any what we call the fire element. Now then we come back to the spine. I want you to focus on the bottom of your spine. I want you to stretch your spine towards the ceiling as if you're hanging the spine on the ceiling. We sit like the bell, then the spine is like the clipper inside the bell. Stretch it as hard as you can. Now I'm going to ask you to do one more thing, which is before you lean back, I want you to lean forward. Now I want you to focus on the lower back right here. As you lean back, I want you to keep the hip in place and feel the pressure that you're putting on in the lower back behind you, where the kidneys are. And then you lean back as far back as you can, and then relax. But all this time, you rotate your hip forward and your upper torso back. So even though you relax, you're putting some stress on the two sides of your lower back. Then I want you to lift up your shoulder and then open that shoulder and then relax. I want you to lean back the forehead, putting the ears on top of the shoulder, and then tuck in your chin. So the top of the head is on top of the spine. Now I want you to close your eyes, but think of your eyes as the window drapes. So you're lowering the drape without shutting your eye. In other words, you close your eye, but you relax your eyelid so you can actually perhaps see some light coming through your eyelashes. Now I want you to close your mouth, put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth, where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. Now, the tip of the tongue is actually right behind here. This is the energy point called I'll call it the center of being. This is where the yang energy and the yin energy meets. Now, right behind here, in the roof of your mouth, there's another energy point where your tongue is actually touching right now. That energy point is called the J lator. As soon as you do that, you feel the wetness inside your mouth. The wetness doesn't come from outside the tongue. It actually comes from inside the tongue. Inside the tongue is the gland, is what we call the saliva gland. It's inside of your mouth. So however much water you drink, it doesn't create saliva. The saliva has to be created inside the tongue. And it's completely controlled by your brain. So it's only when you relax and that you are in rest and digest that you can actually activate the saliva gland. And the saliva is the signal that tells your body that you're ready for digestion, that you're ready for immunity, and you're ready for reproduction. That's why when you run away from danger, the first thing it does is to shut off your saliva gland. And it's called the J lator because it is the beginning of life. And now I want you to start by knowing. Feel your breath. Feel that you're breathing in. Feel that you're breathing out. I want you to focus entirely on your breath and just whisper to yourself as you breathe in, and you say to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. And when you feel that you're breathing out, I want you to whisper to yourself and say, I know I'm breathing out. And try not to think about the past, not try to think about the future, and just focus on the present, focus on your breath, and just focus on knowing your breath. Now we're ready to move from knowing to anchoring. I want you to anchor your mind on your belly button. Now, actually, precisely is not the belly button, but about one finger down from your belly button. Your belly button is the umbilical cord, is the remain of the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is the conduit for all nutrients coming from your mom when you're inside her womb. The Chinese believe that the energy point right below that, which is called the Sea of Qi, is where you receive your yin energy from your mom. And right behind that, in the lower part of your spine, right opposite to that, is another energy point, which I call the gate of life. The idea is that when you're inside your mother's womb, she has all the energy that you need to start to build up your life. She has all the organs that you need. All you have to do here is start focusing on your heart, your kidney, your splint, your liver, right? And your lung. All those you need. And once you have those, then you can start to develop. Those are what we call the treasure organs. And once you have the treasure organs, then you can start to develop what we call the chamber organs. Now you can develop your intestines, right? Until now, you don't need it. Your mom is providing all that for you. The stomach, all the other stuff that you need. And it's all that is through here, which is called the Sea of Qi. This is where you receive the life energy from your mom. And then it goes to the back. This is the gate of life. This is the yang energy. This is the rest of you. Now, it turns out that this is yin, this is yang. So you have a yin and a yang. Turns out that those two energy points that I talk about, where the kidneys are, the two kidneys are not the same. One is higher than the other. One is smaller than the other. One is yin and one is yang. So what you have now is 4 energy points, 2 yin and 2 yang. I want you to focus on, you can either do it on your belly button or right below the belly button. And anchor your mind on your stomach, whether it's here or here, doesn't matter. And as you breathe in, you bring your belly button forward, right? More precisely, you're bringing this sea of qi forward. And then when you know that you're breathing out, you bring that energy point all the way back as if you're collapsing the two, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in, I'm going to move my belly button forward. I use the belly button, it's easy for you to remember what I said. You don't have to interpret it. But what I'm really talking about is the energy point right below the belly button. Okay? When you breathe in, open your stomach as if you're bringing your belly button forward. When you know that you're breathing out, you close your stomach as if you're bringing your belly button back. And all this time trying to rotate your hip forward, lean back your upper torso to maintain the pressure on those two energy points that has right where the kidneys are. Breathing in, open your stomach forward. Breathing out, close your stomach, bring it back. Okay? All right, now let's try to sit for 5 minutes. I call that anchoring. Now, your mind's going to want to do something else, right? You're trying to discipline your mind, which is very difficult. So I don't want to use the word discipline. I want to use the word invitation. I like to invite my mind to focus on the present. When it's somewhere else, I know where to find it. When my mind is not the present, it is very obvious, very easy to find. It's either in the past or it's in the future. Okay, now we're going to continue. We're going to continue, and we're going from knowing, which is just whispering to yourself, I know I'm breathing in, I know I'm breathing out, to anchoring. You anchor your mind on your breath, one breath at a time. And since we're practicing the mindfulness of the body, particularly the existence of the body, we're now going to what I would call observing. Observing the breath. By observing the breath, you're observing your life. Life comes in a cycle. There's a beginning and an end. And within that big cycle, there's millions and billions of small cycles, which is your breath. Each breath has a beginning. Each breath has an end. And now I want you to let go of your belly button and just feel your breath. Feel that you're breathing in, and maybe your stomach opens by itself. And feel that you're breathing out, and maybe you feel that your stomach is collapsing on its own. That needs a lot of practice, but you might be able to start feeling that now. Just maintain that feeling. And now I want you to anchor your mind on the lower part of your spine. So I talk about the 4 energy points, the 2 that coincides with your kidney on your left and the right. 1 that is below the belly button, I call that the Sea of Qi. And 1 is right in the lower part of your spine, the exact opposite. And I call that the gate of life. I want you to anchor it there on the lower part of your spine. As you breathe in, I want you to walk up the spine, stretch the spine towards the ceiling, from the bottom of your spine all the way to the top of your head, and stretch your spine. Then as you breathe out, I want you to come back from the top of your head to your forehead, to the tip of your nose, into your mouth, crossing your tongue all the way down towards the belly button. And I want you to lean back and relax as you breathe out. When you breathe in, move from the bottom of your spine towards the top of your head, stretch your spine. When you breathe out, come back, lean back, relax until you get to the belly button. Breathing in, and then breathing out. Now what happens is that you're now using your diaphragm. And when you use your diaphragm to breathe, just like when you were a baby first born, you will actually exercise the fight or flight as you breathe in, and you were exercising the rest and digest as you breathe out. And you can actually measure that when you breathe in, your heart rate increases, and when you breathe out, your heart rate slows down. The difference is in milliseconds. You can actually measure that. My Apple Watch measures that. It's called a heart rate variability. People who are either stuck on fight or flight or stuck in rest and digest, when they say they stuck in rest and digest, that more likely to define it as anxiety. And if they stuck in the rest and digest, more likely they're defining that as in depression. And people who have that problem, they cannot measure the HRV. There's no difference in their breath. But when you breathe like this, you actually enter into the fight or flight as you breathe in, and you enter into your rest and digest as you breathe out, restoring the harmony between your 2 autonomous systems. When you breathe in, stretch, your body release stress hormone to reduce inflammations in your body. And when you breathe out, it restores the sensitivity to the stress hormone, thereby maintaining your ability to heal yourself. Let's sit for 3 more minutes and then we're going to do more exercise, okay? Okay, open your eyes. So I mentioned very Bodhidhama, and the pronunciation actually comes from Vietnamese, and the Chinese, the word actually means kusala. In Sanskrit, it means kusala. And kusala, if you translate back into English, it means wholesomeness. Wholesomeness. Now, in the Buddhist teaching, there's no good and evil. There's only kusala and akusala, what's wholesome and what's unwholesome. And they're not judging you. They're not saying that you did this, that's good, and if you don't, you're not with me, then you're evil, like that. But rather, it's really a self-improvement. It's really how you want to improve yourself by thinking about thoughts that are either wholesome or unwholesome. Wholesome thoughts leave behind wholesome karma. Unwholesome thoughts leave behind unwholesome karma. What does karma mean? Well, simplest way I can explain it is if you want to grow tomato, someone has to give you a seed. Seed by itself doesn't give you tomato. You need to do a lot of work. You need to find a plot. You need to fertilize. You need to remove all the obstacle. And then someday that seed would grow into a tomato. So that's like the beginning and the end, effort in the middle. But what happens after you grow a tomato? You leave behind lots more seeds. So imagine that you start with the bad seed, chances are you're going to have bad tomato, and then the bad tomato leave behind bad seeds. So the seeds that you leave behind is what we call karma. So you say, oh, then all I have to do is start with good seeds. That's it. Actually not. You can start with good seeds and end up with bad karma because of what you do in the middle. So that's why Buddhist teaching has nothing to do with how other people changes you. It's how you change yourself. And so when you focus on wholesome thoughts, what are the wholesome thoughts? Well, there are actually very few. The one that I focus on is gratitude, acceptance, right? And sharing and connection. But there's a whole lot of unwholesome thoughts. And where are you going to find those unwholesome thoughts? It's in the past or in the future. And so I have a list of some of the unwholesome thoughts: fear, loneliness, boredom, anxiety, depression, agony, regret, shame, embarrassment, nervousness, loss, self-loathing, anger, jealousy, sadness. You're going to find all that in the past or in the future. So I rather focus on the present, focus on being grateful, focus on being forgiving and accepting, and focus on sharing and making good connections to allow me to maintain wholesome karma. That's my practice. Practice on the present, practice on gratitude, practice on sharing. Okay? All right. So we're going to do quickly some stretch exercise, and then we're going to get down on the floor, right? And so once again, we're going to exercise the diaphragm by doing some deep breathing first. But the stretching has to do with all the meridians, all the energy lines that are facing the sun to improve our yang energy. All right, particularly in the back of a hand, that's called the triple warmer. And then in the back is the bladder energy line, in the neck and all that, okay? All right, so let's do 3 deep breaths first. So once again, lift up our shoulder, open our shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Let's take our hands, lock our fingers, put that in front of our belly button. And we're going to breathe in by following the center of the palm. Get ready. Breathe in. I'll turn your hand, follow the center of your palm, look up, breathe out. Push as hard as you can, lock your elbow. Unlock your fingers, point the center of your palm outward. Imagine you have 2 big rocks on the left and the right, and you're going to climb on top of that big rock. And then back, relax, breathe in, breathe out. Lock your elbow, looking straight ahead, climb the mountain. And then back, one last time, breathe in, breathe out. Looking straight ahead, climb the mountain. And then back, locking hands again, palm facing up, palm facing down. Gently push it down until you can lock your elbow. Looking straight ahead, bring up your hand, palm in front of you, on top of you. Bring it back slightly so you're forming a straight line between the bottom of your spine, top of your head, and the center of your palm. And you push as hard as you can. And then now be careful, but lean back, stretching your spine. Come back to the middle and push again, lock your elbow. The entire spine stretch to the left. Come back to the middle. Push again as hard as you can. Lean to the right, stretching your spine. Come back to the middle. Push again. Lean to the left. Come back to the middle. Push again. Lean to the right. And then come back to the middle. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it back. Completely relax. Open that shoulder. Lean back. And then relax. Take your right hand. Put that on your left shoulder. Lean back so you're putting pressure on your right shoulder. You take your left hand, you grab your right elbow, you sit up straight, and you stretch the spine towards the left. You come back, you change hands, again looking straight up, straight in front. So you're putting pressure on the left shoulder and you stretch to the right. Come back, focusing on your breath. Bring up your shoulder, open your shoulder, lean back and relax. Now left hand, palm facing up. Right hand between the fingers and the palm. Bring down your left hand, focus on your left elbow. Push your elbow, lock your elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up your hand, palm facing forward, all the way up to eyebrow. Now sit up straight without turning your upper torso. Bring your hands to the right, locking your elbow all the way back, and then bring it forward, relax. Now the other hand, sit up straight, bring it down, push your elbow out, looking straight ahead. Bring up your palm all the way up. Without moving your upper torso, bring your right hand to the left, come back, and then relax back to your breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now open your shoulder again, sit up straight. Right palm facing up, left palm facing down. Open the shoulder, wrist at 90 degrees. Now imagine the sky has fallen and you're pushing the sky up, all the way up until you lock your elbow. Now imagine the earth has come up and you want to push the earth down, all the way down, you lock your elbow. Now you take your right arm, you bring it back slightly. You turn your head to the left until you get to the shoulder, and you keep turning your eyeballs as if you're looking at your back. You bring back everything, you relax. Now do the other hand. Push, lock, push, lock. Left hand, bring it back, right to the shoulder. Eyes turn to the back, everything come back. And then relax back to the breath. I know I'm breathing. I know I'm breathing out. Now sit, open your shoulder, relax. Hands locking, fingers locking. Put that on your lower back, palm facing up, palm facing down. Push until you lock your elbow. You notice I keep saying lock your elbow. It's actually very important. Now you focus on the top of your head and the center of your palm at the same time. You push your hand down, you lift up, one down. Stretch your spine, and then relax. Now you lean back, so you're looking at the ceiling, and you bring your hands up as much as you can, and then relax. Back to the breathing. Open the shoulder again, relax. Bring your right hand, touching your back, look straight ahead. Lift up your right shoulder, stretch as much as you can, and then do the other hand, looking straight ahead. Lift up your left shoulder as much as you can, bring it back down. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now open the shoulder, sit up straight. Right hand, the back of the hand touching your lower part of your spine. You take two fingers, you point that to the left shoulder. You bring down your right shoulder, you're pointing your fingers up as far up as you can, and then relax. Now do the other hand, looking straight ahead. You bring down your left shoulder and you bring up your hands. And now you take the other hand, fingers touching, looking straight ahead, right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. Now do the same thing. Much harder. Looking straight ahead, two shoulders, one shoulder up, one shoulder down, and then back to the breath. One last stretch. This is what I call the reverse Buddha. You open your shoulder, you sit up straight, you relax, you put your palms together. Put that on your lower back, fingers pointing down. Rotate so the fingers are pointing up. You bring it up. You try to keep your palms together, looking straight ahead. You open your shoulder. You push your palm forward. One back, one forward. Hold it. And then relax. Back to the breath. One breath at a time. Okay? All right. So now we don't have a whole lot of time left. So we're going to continue with our joint exercise very quickly. Do all the joints. And then we're going to do our breathing exercise. Okay? Okay, now we did the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. Now the wrist is like the knee, the heel, sorry. And the elbow is like the knee, and the shoulder is like the hip. Okay, we've got to do all three joints. So first the knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the heel, right heel first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to stand on the toes. Okay, one of the things that is often ignored or in the Western approach to longevity exercise is balance. So we know how to do stretching, we know how to do cardio, we know how to do muscle, but we forgot about balance. Balance is very important. So we're going to look straight ahead, and then we're going to stand on the toes, and then we're going to come back and impact the heel very gently on top of carpet, okay? Second time, looking straight ahead, and then down. One last time, lift up your heel, stand on your toes, and then down. Now we're going to do more balancing exercise. First, we're going to lean to the right foot, putting this entire weight on top of the left foot, okay? All right, now we're going to focus on the heel of the right foot. We're going to bring it up and we're going to kick 3 times, focusing on the heel. Get ready, looking straight ahead now. 1, come back. 2, come back. 3. Okay, now lean to the right, bring up your left foot, focus on the heel. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now to the hip. Hip is very important, especially when you age. And if your hip is not flexible, you don't know how to restore your center of gravity when you fall. Okay, all right, now we're going to stand on the right, put your hands up, straighten up your back, bring it to the left. Now notice the heel, the toes are up on the right foot. And we're going to form that straight line between the heel, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder. We're going to turn it all the way until we can't turn anymore. And we're going to turn some more. Then we move forward and then relax. Second time, forward and then relax. One last time, forward and then relax. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Stand on the left foot and straighten up our back. Bring it to the right, form a straight line, turn, keep turning, and then forward, and then relax. You're gonna unlock that joint, okay? The hip. Forward, and then relax. One last time. Forward, and then relax, okay? Now we're ready for our pranayama exercise, or tuna exercise. Open your shoulder, focus on the center of your palm, bring it up. 1, 2, 3, lower your knee, and then 4. Stand up, breathing in, 1 and 2. Breathing out, 3. Relax, 4. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. Okay, now breathe in, cross the hand, put that high enough so that as you breathe out, you can see it with the corner of your eye, all the way out. Don't stop in the middle. And then breathe in, breathe out. In, out, in, out. One more time. In, out, breathe in, close your mouth, breathe out. We're going to do standing meditation now. And we're going to do 1 minute of standing meditation. Now, remember what I said. We sit like the bell, we stand like the pine tree, which means that you first stand firmly on the ground and then you loosen up your knees slightly. So using your calf. Calf is your second heart, okay? And then just focus on your breath, 1 breath at a time. Start with knowing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay. All right. Now we're doing the second form, which is called the balloon breathing. So you stand with your right foot forward, you lean back, looking at the ceiling. So the right toes are up. You bring up your hand high enough, you can see with the corner of your eye. You roll your body forward. The heel is up on the left foot, looking down on the ceiling, on the floor. You open back up, looking at the ceiling again. And then as you roll forward, you breathe in. As you roll back, you breathe out. All the way out. Don't stop in the middle. Breathe in. Breathe out. One breath at a time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time. Follow your hand. Breathe in. And then breathe out. Lower your hand. Going from your hand to your bottom of your feet. One step, two step. And then 1 minute of anchoring your mind on your breath. Start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. Okay, now to the left. Get ready. Breathe in. And then breathe out all the way out. And then just let your body breathe in on its own. Okay. And then breathe out. And then breathe out. Let the body breathe in on its own. Relax. Breathe out. In. Out. One more time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Lower your hand. Back to the standing. 1 minute. Okay. Now the next one's called butterfly. It requires a lot of balancing. Okay. But just open your shoulder, relax your lower, looking straight ahead. Bring up your hand. Lower your hand, lower your knee. Bring your hands up again. Raise your heel. Follow the center of your palm until the back of the hand is touching. As you come down, you breathe in gently. As you go up, you breathe out. Don't stop in the middle. All the way up. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. One breath at a time. Breathing in. Breathing out. One last time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Bring down your hands. focus on your breath, one breath at a time. Okay, now the next one's called push hand, right? It looks a lot like Tai Chi. In fact, it uses all 6 joints just like Tai Chi, except that it's not martial art. You don't have an opponent. It's all about yourself. Now, you follow your hand. Imagine there's a water wheel in front of you, and you follow the outside of the water wheel until you get to the top. You bring it back down, you sit on your left foot, you look straight ahead, and you push. And this is all about feeling your body, observing any change in your body, observing any change in your breath, and you do all of that without judging. Just feel it. Breathing out, breathing in, open your shoulder, breathe out. Now the trick is, as you breathe in, you open your shoulder, you feel the energy coming down your spine, and then you push out from the hip. In, out, in. Now, they call this the tiger's back and then the bear's hip. 2 of the 5 animals. Tiger's back is when you enter into fight or flight. And the bear's hip is like the bear hibernating. You're actually in rest and digest. So this actually enhances your heart rate variability. As you breathe in, open your shoulder. As you breathe out, and you push from your lower back. In, very gently, very slow, breathe out. One last time, follow your hand, breathe in, breathe out. Back to the standing. Okay, and all this time you don't judge, just feel it. Okay, you're in the zone, right? You're not in the thinking. You're actually using only your spine. You're feeling the sensation without judging. Okay, or you, I'm sure, have seen 2 very famous movies about the Japanese culture. One is called the Shogun. One is called The Last Samurai. It really talks about the change in the Japanese society. The samurais all of a sudden becomes a ruling class, not the nobility, not the emperor. And it coincides with the time that Zen meditation has came to Japan. And they basically learn to feel without judging. They learn to unlock their intellectual power without being hindered by their intelligence. Intelligence is just a thinking mind. That's why their sword technique are incredible, because they don't even think. They don't judge. And same with the basketball player. When they shoot at 3 points, they don't think, they just feel. Same as the golf player. Everybody is the same way. I feel, but I don't judge. Breathing in, I feel the change in my body. I can even feel the air running through my fingers. I feel the air coming into my body and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. One last time. Breathing in, breathing out. Come back. And this is our last 1 minute standing meditation. And we need to save some time for closing. Okay? One last time. I know I'm breathing in. Okay? Now, the first 4 forms basically unlock your self-healing power by cycling you between the 2 autonomous nervous system using your diaphragm. This last one is an active healing. It heals a condition called adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue comes when you're always under stress to the point where your adrenal gland doesn't react as fast as you should. So that happens when all of a sudden you move your center of gravity and you feel lightheadedness because the adrenal gland is not working. Okay, or not working as quickly as you should. Now we're going to stand, open our shoulder, looking straight ahead. So if you have a condition where you feel lightheadedness, you might want to put a chair next to you or not do this one at all. Okay, get ready, breathe in. And then breathe out, open your knee all the way down, breathe out, and then push your back forward. And then breathe in. And then bend your back. And then relax. Second time, breathe out, breathe in. One last time, breathe out, breathe in. And then relax. Bring your hands down. Okay. We'll have just enough time to do a 3-minute meditation. So just practice that on your own. Okay. Everything is in a circle. So it's not like you do 1 step, 2 step, and then 3 steps and you're done. You keep coming back. You start from knowing, then you go anchoring, and then you go observing. And when you feel that you need to come back, you come back, right? And, all right. So you can start by just saying to yourself, I know I'm breathing in, or you can continue, anchor your mind on the belly button, and then breathe in, open your stomach, breathe out. But of course, after this exercise, it's very obvious. The breathing is very obvious. You can feel your stomach moves as you breathe in. You're actually using a diaphragm. So then you can perhaps go to the part where you observe your breath, observe your life energy as you breathe in, and then as you breathe out. Breathe in, stretch. Breathe out, lean back, and relax. Okay? All right, so just do 3 minutes and then we'll be in a class, okay? Breathing in, breathing out. Okay. So I talk about how to use a body and a mind, a body and a breath as an anchor, right? So when we move, we anchor a mind on a body. When we're stationary, we anchor on the breath. And the purpose for anchoring is that you don't fall into the past or into the future. Those are two of the dark corners where you develop unwholesome thoughts, creating unwholesome thoughts and then suffering from unwholesome karma. So I talk about how your fear, your loneliness, your boredom, your anxiety, your depression, your agony, your regret, your shame, your embarrassment, your nervousness, your loss, your self-loathing, jealousy and anger and sadness. They are your unwholesome thoughts. Instead, you focus on the present, you focus on gratitude, you focus on acceptance, you focus on your compassion and loving kindness, you focus on your empathy and your equanimity. Those are wholesome thoughts. And as time goes on, your body and your breath is not only your anchor, but they become your agent. So these days, for those of you who are interested in AI, artificial intelligence, there's a new term called agent computation, something like that. What is agent? So there are intelligent agents. They're out there, just like this, the intelligent agents. They're looking at what's happening, and they're the first to tell you. They're first to give you intelligence so you can manage your emotion intelligently. What I'm saying is that as you practice, your body and your breath becomes very sharp. And when your mind drifts off into unwholesome thoughts, you might not know it. How do you know? Right? It's your mind that is doing it. So how am I going to expect your mind to it's what we call the how do we say the fox guarding the hands, right? It doesn't work. It takes a while. That's why when we get into depression, it takes a long, long time to climb back out. But then your body and your breath becomes the agent. So they are the ones that tell you. They tell you, oh, something's happening. You become angry. Don't go there. Come back. Right? And have you noticed that we've been practicing together now for 6 years, basically. Some of you have been with me 6 years. I really appreciate the comments. So when people make comments, I like it. But at the same time, I'm saying to myself, if you're really practicing, you don't have no time for comments. I like how you sent me lights, the hearts bouncing off the screen. I like it. Make me feel good. But at the same time, I'm asking myself, how do you have time for that? You don't have 3 hands. Right? So you must be not practicing. And so one of the things that you will notice, I think all of you do, is that you become a lot less chattering. A lot less chattering, right? We also attain this level of bliss and tranquility. Why? Because our body and our breath has become an agent. They have become our intelligence agent. They're out there, just like the canaries that you bring to the cave, right? You're digging your coal, whatever mine, you're mining, and poison gas in the environment, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know until you die. But if you bring a canary into the cave, they're your intelligence agent. They're your body and your breath. When something happens, they tell you, and then you run away from that. You say, stay away from me. I don't want it. Okay? So that's a sign of progress. That is a sign of progress, that you become less chatty. Right? There's not much to say. Whatever I need to say, I already said it. I don't need to say it twice. Okay? All right. So I just want you to know that you're making progress, tremendous progress. So with that, I bid you goodbye. I'll see you all next week. Keep up with the practice. Stay focused and keep saying to yourself, I feel it, but now I'm going to accept it and I'm going to let it go. Okay? Don't let it become you. All right? Let us all be blessed with good health, with happiness, and with peace. Namaste. OK，星期一見，拜拜。多謝你哋，
師兄，
好多謝你哋支持。
感恩
OK，
師兄，
星期一見。OK，拜拜。
拜。
Again, those of you who tend to follow me on Patreon, I will post. I actually do have a recording of this session that I can post right away. So even though it's not live, I pushed the wrong button. You get to see it. Some of you like it on Patreon because it doesn't have any commercial, whereas YouTube will have it. Patreon is actually a very good site. So there are two places that you need to subscribe to. One is the group within Insight Timer named Mindfulness Fellowship. The idea is that we're all fellow travelers, right? So that's a good place. The other really good place, even better, is my Patreon page. So if you just go to DannyKMew.com, that's the landing page where you find all my collaterals. But if you just say DannyKMew.com/Patreon, then you go to my Patreon page where you can become a free member and you will get a notification whenever I post something. Now that website, that Patreon, is actually 10 years old. Actually 10 years old. There's like 400 or 500 posts on that. And so if you go to Patreon, thank you, Martha. If you go to Patreon and there's a place where you sort the articles in reverse order. So instead of putting the newest one on top, it puts the oldest one on top. And you will notice that my first article is 10 years old. It's my journal. It documents my journey of learning Buddhism and meditation. Right? It is actually my third book. I purposely choose that format because it's a living book. Whereas my first book is about my transitioning from academic to entrepreneurship, focusing on all the work that I've done in my academic life. And my second book is an online book that focuses on my transition from entrepreneurship to a meditator. All right. Okay. So thanks, everyone. I'll see you all next week. Keep up the practice and go take a look at Patreon. Sometimes I do, looking at what I say, what I do, what I think 10 years ago. It's a long time. Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Thank you for all the donation. All right. Bye-bye.